November 14th, 1942, 0040 hours, Iron Bottom Sound, off Guadalcanal. The sea is black, not dark, not dim, but black, like someone poured ink across the world. The only light is the faint silver gleam of moonlight, slicing through clouds and catching the tops of slow Pacific swells. In that vast darkness, the battleship USS Washington, BB-56, moves like a silent steel continent, 42,000 tons of gunmetal, slicing through water that still tastes of cordite from the fighting hours before. On her bridge, Rear Admiral Willis A. Lee stands motionless, one hand on the plotting table, the other gripping a coffee cup gone cold. No one speaks. Not even the wind dares to break the tension. Washington is hunting. A predator gliding into a battlefield littered with burning wreckage from both navies. Hours earlier, American cruisers had tried to stop a Japanese bombardment force and paid for it in blood. Now only Washington and the crippled South Dakota remain on station. And somewhere out there, beyond the horizon, the Japanese battleship Kirishima is coming.
Inside the Washington, the air smells of oil, hot steel, and the stale humidity of exhausted men who have been at general quarters far too long. Down in the plotting room, sailors hunch over glowing screens, the heartbeat of a revolutionary system few in the world fully understand yet: radar. Technicians whisper data into headsets, voices tight, controlled, almost reverent. Blips move across the green scope, each one a ghost, maybe a destroyer, maybe a cruiser, or maybe the giant they're all waiting for. The only sound is the rhythmic hum of the SG radar set, the one device that will tilt the balance of the entire battle. Up on deck, the great turrets 1, 2, and 3, sit loaded and waiting. Each 16-inch gun holds a shell the size of a refrigerator, each capable of tearing open a cruiser or splitting a destroyer in half with a single hit. The gunners stand at their stations, sweating in the dim red lights, hands hovering above firing triggers. They are young, 19, 20, 22, but tonight they feel ancient. War has a way of aging men in minutes. A lookout wipes rain from his face and scans the darkness. Nothing. Only waves grinding gently against the hull. But then you notice something else. Washington isn't firing her searchlights. She isn't warning the enemy. She isn't even trying to be found. This is a night hunt.
Admiral Lee leans toward his radar officer. Range? The reply comes crisp, almost too calm. Enemy contact, closing fast. Bearing 025. Multiple ships and one large return. The bridge falls silent. A large return means one thing: a capital ship, a battleship. Lee gives a slow nod. The battle is coming to him, exactly as he hoped. In this blackwater labyrinth of shattered ships and burning hulks, radar is the one advantage he has, an invisible torch lighting the way where Japanese optics see nothing but darkness. Out there, the Kirishima and her escorts are relying on moonlight, star shells, and instinct. Washington has something else entirely: electronic eyes. Far below, in the gun turrets, crewmen feel the ship shift slightly as Washington begins turning to meet the threat. Metal groans, machinery vibrates, men tighten their gloves. Everyone feels it, the vibration that comes right before history happens. Then, almost casually, like someone pointing out a passing cloud, the radar officer says, "Admiral, we have a battleship on the screen. Range, 18,000 yards, closing." 18,000. Too far for the naked eye, too far for Japanese lookouts, but perfect for radar fire control. Lee steps forward. "Very well, prepare main battery."
The order spreads through the ship like electricity. Down in turret 2, a Marine gunner whispers, "This is it," and the loader beside him makes the sign of the cross. Somewhere in the plotting room, a sailor tightens his grip on his pencil until it snaps. Men swallow hard. Hearts pound. The temperature feels like it climbed 10 degrees. The Washington is now a coiled fist. The Japanese destroyers screening Kirishima still don't see her. They have no idea a battleship, a modern one, with full radar targeting, is stalking them from the dark.
Then comes the sound nobody forgets. Main battery, stand by. Even the ocean seems to pause. The gun directors rotate. The enormous 16-inch rifles begin to pivot, their barrels rising with slow mechanical grace, seeking a target they cannot see, but radar can. A young sailor on the bridge glances into the night and whispers, "How can you hit something you can't see?" Admiral Lee hears him. He doesn't turn, but a faint grin touches the corner of his mouth. "With radar," he murmurs. A moment later, another voice, louder this time, urgent, certain. "Target confirmed. Battleship Kirishima. Fire control solution ready." 7 minutes. That's all Washington needs. But the men don't know that yet. They only know the darkness is watching them, and that somewhere out there, a Japanese giant is moving closer, unaware of the hammer about to fall. And then a spark, not of light, but of decision, crosses the bridge. Open fire. The world holds its breath.
For a heartbeat, nothing moves. Then Washington's forward turrets shudder, gears locking into their final firing angle. Deep inside the ship, electric circuits snap closed, and the great rifles unleash their fury. The night explodes. 3 16-inch guns fire at once, turning darkness into a rolling wall of orange flame. The shockwave punches across the deck, slamming into the crew's chests like a truck. You can almost feel the blast vibrating through the Pacific, rattling loose rivets, shaking spray off the waves. The shells, each weighing nearly a ton, scream into the sky, invisible except for the faint sparks of burning propellant drifting in their wake. They arc high, crossing miles of black water in seconds, guided not by eyes, but by radar calculations, humming in Washington's fire control brain. Downrange, the Japanese haven't even spotted the attacker.
Aboard Kirishima, lookouts shout into the dark, confused by the sudden thunder. Officers scramble to identify the source. They see no muzzle flashes, no silhouettes, no enemy ship, only the incoming shells. Washington fires again. Another shockwave tears through the night. Then another. The battleship becomes a metronome of destruction, steady, precise, unstoppable. And just beyond the horizon, something finally happens aboard Kirishima. Something that tells the Japanese sailors this is no ordinary American ship. A realization that lands just moments before the next hit. The first shell lands with the sound no sailor ever forgets, a deep, metallic crack that seems to tear the ocean itself open. It slams into Kirishima's starboard side, punching through armor before detonating deep inside the ship. For a split second, the blast is muffled, then a geyser of flame erupts from a ruptured compartment. Aboard Kirishima, chaos ignites instantly. Men are thrown off their feet, bulkheads ring like struck bells. Officers shout for bearings, for targets, for anything. But the darkness offers nothing. The Japanese night fighting doctrine, once their greatest advantage in the Pacific, is useless against an enemy they cannot see. No searchlight beam catches Washington. No gun director finds a silhouette, because Washington is firing from pure invisibility. Back on the American battleship, radar operators call out new ranges. 17,000 yards, 16,000, the picture sharpening with every sweep. Fire control officers adjust angles by degrees, feeding corrections faster than human eyes ever could. Stand by, firing. Another triple blast tears the night apart. The second salvo lands even harder. One shell rips into Kirishima's steering compartment, jamming her rudder hard to starboard. The ship begins an involuntary circle, slow, helpless, exposed. Her captain understands instantly, they're trapped. Washington keeps closing, guns reloading, turrets turning with cold mechanical confidence. And in that tightening circle, Kirishima's fate is already sealed, but the most devastating hits are still moments away. Kirishima's involuntary turn becomes a death spiral. With the rudder jammed and damage control scrambling through smoke-filled corridors, the battleship drifts broadside, perfectly exposed. Washington's radar tracks every movement, every angle, every vulnerable silhouette. The American gunners can almost feel it. The target isn't just found, it's locked. Main battery, fire. Another thunderclap, then another. Washington's guns speak in a steady rhythm now, each blast a hammer striking the same anvil. The recoil shudders through the hull, rattling ladders and quivering light fixtures. But to the crew, it's the sound of precision, confidence, purpose.
Downrange, the effect is catastrophic. One shell punches into Kirishima's engine room, blowing out boilers and plunging entire sections into darkness. Another finds a turret, shredding armor and sending a storm of metal through the gun crew. Yet another tears open the forward hull, flooding compartments instantly. Fires rage uncontrolled as hoses sputter and crews choke on the heat. In the midst of it, Kirishima tries to fight back. Her gunners swing their turrets desperately, searching the night, but they are blind, firing at shadows, at guesses, at phantoms. Washington is nowhere to be seen, yet she hits with perfect accuracy. 9 confirmed hits, all within 7 minutes. A Japanese officer staggers onto the listing deck, staring into the blackness, realization settling in like a weight. This enemy, he sees us in the dark. But Kirishima's ordeal isn't over. Something even worse is about to sweep across her decks. Something no battleship can survive.
The next salvo hits lower, deep, devastating, surgical. Washington's radar-guided aim shifts to the waterline, and the effect is immediate. A 16-inch shell slams beneath Kirishima's armor belt, detonating with a roar that echoes through her bones. Compartments flood instantly. Steel groans. The deck tilts another 2 degrees. Damage control teams sprint through smoke-choked passageways, stepping over ruptured pipes and fallen sailors. But every step is harder now. Floors are slick with oil, air thick with heat. They shout for pumps, for extinguishers, for orders. But the shudder of the next impact drowns their voices. Another shell crashes through her port side, blowing out bulkheads and turning a section of the interior into twisted debris.
Fire leaps across the deck like a living thing, catching ammunition crates and sending sparks skyward. The battleship's heartbeat, its engine rooms, its boilers, its pumps, begins to fail one by one. Above deck, Kirishima's officers finally glimpse something. Faint gun flashes far off in the darkness. Tiny, momentary bursts, too distant to target, too accurate to be anything but deliberate. That's when the fear sinks in. They're being taken apart by a ship they cannot touch, cannot see, cannot even fully believe exists. Radar-guided fire in total darkness, something no Japanese battleship has ever faced. Kirishima starts to list harder. A groan rolls through her hull like a dying animal. Men look at each other, wide-eyed. They know what that sound means. And Washington is already preparing her next salvo, a salvo that will seal the Japanese crew's fate.
Kirishima is dying, and everyone aboard knows it. Fires roar unchecked across her midsection, painting the smoke a hellish orange. The list grows steeper with every passing minute, water pouring into compartments faster than pumps can fight it. Officers try to rally the crew, but their voices drowned beneath the groan of bending steel. The ship that once thundered across the Pacific now trembles like something alive and afraid. Washington watches from the dark, silent, steady, unhurt. Her guns cool, her radar still sweeping, her crew staring out into the night where their enemy twists in flame. 7 minutes of precise fire have done what no American surface ship had achieved in the entire war until this night. A clean, decisive defeat of a Japanese battleship in close combat. Aboard Kirishima, the order finally comes. Abandon ship. Sailors climb down slanted decks, some slipping into burning water, others clinging to debris as explosions ripple through the hull. A massive blast tears the forward section open, sending a column of fire roaring up